Could I ask the first panelist to come up, if that's possible? We're talking Captain Ioannis, Iris, Loukas, Simon, and Dimitris, please. I'll relocate. So I'm going to keep an eye on the, thank you, on the time again. It's so nice to see a full room here. We're going to be learning a lot of good stuff this afternoon. We've got two panel sessions, each of about 35 minutes each. And it'll be general discussion, but please, I want to involve the audience as well, because you'll have valuable comments to make as well. So I want to be drawing you in on those. I'm going to actually allow the panelists here on the left-hand side to introduce themselves. I'm going to give them an 2-minute opportunity just to give us a little bit of a sort of policy view on the whole issue of crewing strategy, but also, this whole thing of beating this talent time bomb. We've got a lot of issues facing the crewing sector moving forward. So really, just starting from my immediate left here, if you could introduce yourself and then and give us about a minute or so just on your views. Thank you. You press I'm the first. Yeah, press the button. Press the button, yeah.
So my name is Ioannis. I am the owner's representative of a manning agency of Scorpio Company in Manila. 88 Anysis is the name of the company. And I'm very glad that I am here today. Thanks for the invitation. And I'm very glad also that I can see very familiar faces and people that I have to see for a long time. So, thank you. That's me.
Okay, lovely.
Hello, my name is Iris Baguilat. I am the president of Döhle, Seafront Crewing from Manila. I'm also the chairperson of the Association of Licensed Manning Agencies. We are responsible for 175,000 seafarers in the Philippines.
Lovely, right, excellent. Thank you. Sir.
Hi, I'm Dimitris Vasalakis. I'm a Human Resources and Training Director of Danaos Shipping. We're a shipping company with 74 vessels, mainly containers, but we have some bulk carriers also due our recent expansion of our fleet. Thanks a lot for the invitation for this interesting panel.
Okay, sir, thank you. Simon.
So yes, hello everybody. I'm Simon Grainge from ISWAN. We're a maritime welfare organisation based in the UK. And of course, because we deal with maritime welfare, we get to hear about the piracy, the abandonment, the mental health issues, the suicide. And of course, these are not great selling points for recruitment and retention. And there's no doubt that seafaring is a tough career with unique challenges. But people will do tough jobs. They'll do tough jobs if they're properly supported, they're properly led, and they feel that what they're doing is worthwhile. But if we look at the traditional offer that seafaring had, it was about money, status, glamour even, the opportunity to travel the world. But actually those incentives have been eroded over recent years. And it feels to me as if we've yet to define what the modern seafaring offer is. And if we take into account the fact that we get lots of calls about workload and fatigue, if we don't resolve the recruitment and retention issue, that's just going to put more pressure on people at sea.
Okay, thank you. And Loukas, over to you, sir.
Hello, my name is Loukas Barmparis. I'm president of Safe Bulkers. I represent, let's say, probably the other side of the coin. We are a shipping company with about 60 vessels and about 2,000 crew members, mainly Filipinos. We have a very substantial and improved policy about our crew welfare, which was developed through our ESG strategy the last few years, and also especially after the COVID era, that has taught us substantial lessons on how we should deal with the personnel and the people who are out there, far away from their families, and who were completely abandoned by the international community.
Brilliant. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, this session here is looking at policy and strategy. So, we've got a very, very strong panel here today. So please think of any questions you may well have. I'm going to kick it off, really. We've heard there's a lot of issues happening in shipping at the moment. We've heard from Henrik about the challenges facing the crewing landscape and the need for competency within the industry. But there's also anxiety about being able to attract the right talent into the industry. And that's going to be something that has really beset the shipping for so many years now. We seem to be revisiting it all the time. But what do you think the new generation is looking for from shipping for their careers? So let me start here with you, Ioannis. Yeah, start the ball rolling.
Okay. For me, I cannot say myself as a subject matter expert. I am in the shipping industry the last 12 years. And the last 6 in Scorpio, as I said, in the manning agency, employing almost 2,000 Filipino seafarers. Currently, we have 1,200 on board. For me, the challenge here to recruit talents is how you are going to organize your company to face that. And how you can do that, you have to establish processes that gives to the people that they are candidates for the company, they are trying to knock the door, to open the door and work for you, give the ability to have a career development, meaning that the company gives opportunity to those that they are willing to have a career development. It's not like that people are staying there in their positions for years without taking under consideration what a new mind, a new person that will hit the door will be able to do. Give a work-life balance. This is very important for young people that they are joining company. I know it's difficult because we are talking about shipping, but we have to find a way how, as a company, we are going to give work-life balance and give incentives for those that they are going to open the door for us. Give training, a long life training, which means that we value our people and we give them the opportunity to be trained. And lastly, I will say, even if we are not having the number of vessels that we like to hire people additional, but what we have to think is about the future, considering what Herni said before about digitalization and the new model of vessels that are coming. Think one step ahead and recruit people that they can give us the ideas and whatever is necessary to go to the next step. Early recruitment, in other words. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Ioannis. I mean, these are very valid points, but I think, does the industry need to change its strategy in the way that it's actually selling shipping and seafaring as a career? Because it's not just, going to sea, but it's also the opportunities afterwards, isn't it?
Correct. I fully agree with that. And this is something that I know it's challenging, but because of the day-to-day, most of us, we are deeply involved with the issues that we have to face, but we have to think one step ahead. We have to think proactively to be able to do that. And I think this is the way. Otherwise, we are going to handle day-to-day cases and will not be able to develop and be able to face the challenges that they are coming.
Iris, let me come on to you, if I may. Give your perspective on what the industry needs to really, really do. We need to have competent seafarers, but we also need to have the right talent coming in the first place as shipping is changing. What are your thoughts on that?
Since our panel discussion is on policy and strategy, let me take the opportunity to welcome the regulatory body in the Philippines, the Department of Migrant Workers, if you know them, PUEA. They're at the back now, listening in to what we're talking about. So we have Assistant Secretary Mario, Assistant Secretary Jerome. These are the guys doing Philippine policy. So let's take the opportunity to tell them how they will help the industry. Okay, so for us, it's a bit different coming from where I come from, because maybe here it's really difficult already to get seafarers. In the Philippines, it's the reverse. Every year we have 20,000, 30,000 coming into the maritime schools, and the industry is only able to absorb 10% of that. So we have people, really young people, asking us for jobs. It's a very different experience, probably if you're Greek, or probably if you're from EU, or even a German. It's the reverse. But how do we make sure that they have enough competence? Then that's where we start influencing the schools, where we get the students from. We also have a robust training program. From my company, we have people now with us for 20, 30 years already. The only reason they leave the company is because they are retiring, or it's like they're hitting 60, and that's the time they want to stop. For now, important is the proper vacation relief. When we say we will disembark you at this time, we have to disembark them at this time. We do not extend so much, and we also try to respect their vacation period. There is still a lot of interest in the Philippines in the seafaring career. We also have struggle on regulation, which we are really having difficulty addressing. That's why there's also an interest to shift out from the Philippines, or to find a second or third crewing source, which Henrik was discussing earlier. But otherwise, interest is still there. The Gen Zs will now be 30% of the population in the next 7 years. Yeah. And then the Generation Alpha are coming into the workforce soon. These are the children of the millennials, so we're getting old, guys. And this will come in, and it's a very different world, and very different viewpoint from what the previous generation has. So that's
But Iris, just to develop on that, I mean, the younger generation have different demands. You know, they're wedded to technology and to innovation. They got their smartphones. They want to have access to their friends. You know, and you're trying to encourage them to go into a career that is going to take them away from all of that. So, do the strategies need to change?
In a sense, yes, because they just don't. They're not just after the money. They also want recognition. They also want a bit of flexibility in what they can do, and they now have more options. They think they have now better options outside of seafaring. So the way to approach them, it has to change in a way. In the past, the Filipinos. Financial incentive is strong enough. But right now, we also have to demonstrate that we are a company that has other goals, like CSR, for example. Yeah. That to them resonates more than just the financials. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Coming on to Dimitris, you're HR Director at Danaos Shipping. Where do you see the crew pools of the future coming from? I mean, you know, this is important. We've got to be looking to the future all the time. And what do you think are the challenges that you're going to be facing on this? What's your sort of going through your mind, and what's top of your sort of dashboard when it comes to that?
Okay, this is a very difficult question to reply, but it's a matter of strategy. Apart from the traditional pools we already know that we have, we need to create pools now for the future. This means that we need to look into the markets that we can develop further for seafarers. This means that we need to identify such geographical areas, not nations, geographical areas, better. And then we need to establish some academies in order to better develop the seafarers in these areas. Of course, we need to maintain our traditional talent pools of seafarers and to further grow them. But we might face a lot of challenges for this. It's not very easy. This reply is very easy to say it, but we need to overcome some many barriers and some challenges. The first challenge is the training standards for this nationalities. In developed countries, we have access to the modern technologies for training. And for these nations, we might not have this kind of technology in order for them to train them. The compliance with international standards, like STCW, it's very important for these markets to find some ways in order to have compliance and the international recognitions of certificates. So these markets might be in Africa or in South America, or continue these efforts in Eastern Europe. But we need to look further on this and to identify these areas, and also to diversify our seafarers. We see some initiatives in order to have on board more women, even in difficult types of vessels, like in our industry with containers vessels, which is very difficult to attract them. But we need also to reorganize ourselves in order to respond to this.
I mean, is that a slow process? I mean, the interesting thing about shipping, its strength and its weakness is it's very fragmented. It's very, very competitive. And it, you know, when we talk about ESG all the time, but is that whole thing a real sort of a slow process, or is it the industry needing to come together and really implement this when you're talking about driving in new people into the industry, diversification as well?
It needs better, of course, it needs to have a strategic approach in order to go on this. And the steps are very slow onto this, but I think that the industry should collaborate in order to respond to this, in order to have collaboration with maritime organizations, international maritime organizations, and maybe other companies together, because it needs strong collaboration in order to respond to these challenges.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. Thank you. Simon, let me bring you in on the conversation here as well. And I think, you know, the COVID times as well, you know, a couple of years ago really shone the light on the issues of facing seafarers as far as mental well-being was concerned. And, you know, they were dealing with a lot of pressure. How do you feel that is actually, what impact is that having on the seafarers' decisions to go to sea? And also on the industry's strategy and actually building up a sort of solid, competent seafarer pool moving forward?
Yeah, the World Maritime University just recently carried out a study on this.
Could you just speak up a little bit, Simon?
Oh, yeah, sorry, that's better. The World Maritime University just recently carried out some research on this issue about what was the impact of COVID on the motivations of seafarers. And the response was quite clear that there are many people who no longer consider it as a career for a long term as a result of their experiences during the pandemic. And I think the reality is that actually people are not looking for long-term careers anyway. If we look at the new generations coming along, there's no such thing as a job for life. They will come in for a period of time, they'll get what they want from it, and then they will move on. But welfare is still extremely important. We still have concerns about the mental health and well-being of seafarers. Yes, COVID may be over, and the number of calls that we receive has dropped, but we're still getting plenty of calls from seafarers who are feeling suicidal and really struggling. We're able to offer the support, but it's still a live issue.
This whole issue of suicides, mental well-being on board. I mean, a lot of companies have got their own initiatives in place, and they place it very, very highly. But what can be done? What more can be done, do you think, Simon? I mean, looking, you know, you're dealing, and your officers are dealing with the seafarers on a daily basis. But what more can be done by the industry to actually tackle this issue when it's against the backdrop of the commercial pressures as well?
Yeah, I do applaud the efforts of many companies to look after the mental health and well-being of their crews. There is still more that can be done. I think it's about having a fully integrated, holistic approach to this, rather than just a sort of a piecemeal, here's an idea, here's an intervention, and this may or may not work. I think it's important to actually talk to seafarers about their views on it, what's important to them. It may be that some of the things that you're thinking of won't work, and it's not what they're actually looking for. And I think to see it as an investment in people, yes, there are commercial pressures, but it doesn't necessarily have to cost money. I think people will as long as they feel that actually they are valued, and you talk to them and you engage them in the discussion, and you do what you can in terms of welfare, that can go a long way. It doesn't necessarily have to cost money.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to bring Loukas. Thank you very much for your time today, sir, for coming along today. Really, the initial question, what strategies do you feel you need to employ to ensure that we have that positive pipeline of seafarers? What's concerning you as a ship owner when you look at potential for seafarers in the future and the talent?
Look, it is very important to have a very concise strategy that works for several years, because you don't build a workforce in a couple of years. You don't build pools of seafarers let's say in one decade. There is a tradition in each region which is developed. We need to pay attention and understand the well-being of the seafarers, because and until now I think we have failed substantially, especially, and this was proven during the COVID era. What you need to do is to understand that people out there are far away from their families. They work in an adverse environment, and technologies change. You need to supply to continuously train them. So it's not that they are trained once and then you are happy. And so all, especially digital tools, can help. You need to create a strategy where all people, all seafarers think the company as their family. A family stands together if they have a real life together. So, for example, you need to motivate the people. You need to be in the places where they are. You need to discuss with them. You need to have an open eye. And right now, one of the most important issues is, as it has risen, is the communication. Communication which now technology gives us opportunities to enhance communication between people, especially even in let's say, in vessels who are ocean-going. It's a very important issue, and this can somehow make some people to think. Also, another issue is to start from a very early stage, because you want to have seafarers. Normally, these people start from young age, so you need to start from school. You need to go there and see people who are willing to travel, to motivate them and create the culture, and then bring them in your family. They will be trained, you train them also. You need to provide incentives, salary incentives, because the work is very difficult, and also to motivate them through various actions in their locations where they live and also on board.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I mean, the debate today and the seminar today is about recruiting and retaining the top maritime talent. But I mean, is the industry, are you satisfied that you are going to get the resources you need in the future from existing recruitment areas? I mean, or are we now having to look at new geographic areas with a new different types of personnel that we might be going after that we haven't traditionally done?
The development, of course, you need to have different areas, but the development of new areas is should be very slow. Imagine that one of the Greek words that we're using, and I need to say it in Greek because it's a Greek word, it's called naftosini, which means the ability to operate in the sea. It's not something which is inherited. It's trained through several several decades, and people are used to be able to withstand the difficulties of a vessel and to expect when they go out to go to their families and have, let's say, this, as we said, a stratified life. So one part of their life is only work, and one part of their life is only family, living with a family. I'm sure that as we move along and the level of the society in the areas where today we take personnel is increasing, then there will be a need for other countries which are, let's say, the requirements are lesser. And of course, we should be open always to train, to provide the training, but it takes time. Right now, I mean, as a company, the main issue to us is that how we can integrate all these people, and that's why we have a very concise ESG strategy. And I believe that this is a very good tool that helps and motivates the companies to address also not only the environment problems, but also the social problems, because social is important, and you need to be able to return to the society a part of your revenue which you gain. So I think it takes time, but it is important to stay there and have a very concise strategy which runs over several years.
Thank you very much, Loukas. And just a reminder to the audience, if you've got any questions, please put your hand up. We've got a roving mic here. We've got about 5 or 6 minutes left of this session. I want to really just touch on the issue of diversity, and I'm going to bring Ioannis in first. And please, panel, stick your hand up and butt in. We're all talking about the need for more diversity in the industry, but what practical steps can be taken, and what do you see are the advantages and barriers to maybe attracting more diversity in crew? Over to you, sir.
Diversity is a big issue, and too many people speaking about that. But I will take the last example about.
Do you want to speak more into your microphone? That's
Yep.
it. Yeah, that.
Okay. Just speaking about when we say diversity about women in maritime. For example, I saw it was a week ago some stats how many women seafarers we have on board the vessels globally. It's around 3%. And how many we have in the offices working in the maritime industry? It's less than 10%. It's around 6. So those numbers, just taking initially for women in maritime, are too low. I believe, based on the experience we have in our company, that women can offer a lot in maritime, even in the office or on board. In my company, we are trying to create the first female ship, at least 2/3 of the crew, to be female. We have different women, starting from cadets up to the chief officer position that I will serve in one vessel. We are trying to do this experiment to see how it will go. We have different nationalities coming from 7 from seafarers around the globe. Mainly is Philippines and Filipino seafarers, but there are also others like Russians, Ukrainians, Croatians. So we're trying to invest because we see that we take a lot from the diversity on board and on the company, because Scorpio has too many offices around the globe, and we are too many different nationalities working for one objective. For the moment, it seems that it's good, and we invest on that, but this has to be carefully under consideration, because there are too many challenges also. Like, for example, the cultural challenges. We have faced in the past differences that between nationalities, different nationalities on board. We try to find ways how to solve, and we try to find ways how to mix the nationalities in order to work without problems on board. This is something that we face. Every time we do a change, we have to proceed first with the change of management and the risk assessment necessary to be able to move on the next step. So we believe a lot in diversity. This is a must, I believe, and should be for all the companies around the globe in the maritime industry, but there are also challenges that we have to take it under consideration, and everything has to be in a frame, regularized first, and a risk assessment that has to be done before any step for diversity forward.
Tell us a little bit more about the all-female ship. That sounds very, very interesting. How far down the line are you? What does it involve?
This is still in planning. Hopefully, we'll manage to do it before the end of the year. And as I said, it will not be a full female ship. It will be at least 7 to 8 seafarers that we are looking for, from cadets up to chief officer position. So I believe and I hope that soon, after many, I don't know how many years, will be 2, 3 or 4, we'll have also the first female captain in our vessels.
Okay. Simon and then Dimitris, do you want to say something as well? But Simon, you first.
Yeah, I think a lot depends on how you approach the question of diversity. Do you see it as something that you need to do because everybody else is doing it? Or do you see it as an opportunity to increase the talent pool, to bring in new ideas, new ways of thinking, and help you to enact a culture change? So I think it's important to understand that at the outset. And for those who are at the sharp end of recruiting, it's a natural tendency to recruit what you recognise, what you're used to. So it's about helping those people to understand that actually you've got to look at this differently. Do you see when you get somebody in front of you who is different in some way, is that a question of you think about the things that they can't do, or are you thinking about the things that they can do? And then if you are going to take this on, then you have to think about the recruitment process itself. Will it work for this particular group of individuals? And then when you actually get to employ them, are you making it a welcoming environment which caters for their needs insofar as is possible?
But then also going back to that whole point about attracting women into the shipping industry as a career, and I think there's always a lot of concerns about being a single woman or one of two women on board a male-dominated ship or whatever for safety reasons. But the idea of an all-female ship, or at least 70%, seems to sort of resolve that. Dimitris, what are your thoughts regarding diversification and the need to embrace that for the industry?
I think it's a solution to the problem. First of all, in order to have an approach to diversity. Regarding the diversity of having more women on board, first of all, we need to create a comfort place to accommodate women in vessels. So it needs, since we are participating in an initiative about planning having more women on board, we need to create facilities into the vessels in order to accommodate more women. So first of all, we need to take some actions for this. Laundry is also a concern on this. So we need to identify all these details in order to create comfort accommodation for vessel of board. And then to go to the women talent pools, where we can find women talent pools, and communicate we have created for them. Because for the moment, in a specific type of vessels, it's very difficult to accommodate women on board. And following this, we need to create some strong policies and to train all of our seafarers and people in the office regarding diversity, inclusion, all of these very important issues, because it's a matter of culture in the end.
Iris, let me just get your thoughts on this, and certainly the enthusiasm within the Philippines market as well for women seafarers to come on, or to go into the shipping as an industry. What are your thoughts?
I agree with Ioannis that we really have to create a framework, because you just don't plunge or throw women on board and expect it to work out. There has to be a proper framework which has to be studied and considered very well. We cannot afford mistakes coming out of it. One, it's going to be, it's not going to be a pretty sight. Number two, also, mentorship is very critical. Like there has to be a personalized approach when you bring them into into the work environment, and of course a plan outside of ship life on board, because there is always a consideration of wanting to have a family, and we have seen that among Filipinos. There's a strong need also to have children, and they cannot have them pregnant on board. So that transition has to be carefully worked out by each company. It cannot be ignored, even if the policymakers in the organization are largely men. That has to be recognized and not to be taken as a disadvantage of the woman or a disability, because this has to be carefully planned and accepted.
Thank you. Now, we've got a couple of minutes. Any questions from the floor? I mean, we covered a lot of areas here. Come on, don't be shy. You must be right. Gentleman at the back. Alex, could you? Oh, thanks, Rod. If you could introduce yourself, that'd be great. Thank you. And questions rather than statements would be nice. Thank you.
Yeah, it's more of a question and a statement. So I'm Jerome Pampolina. I was mentioned by Iris earlier. I'm a government employee from the Department of Migrant Workers. So I'm the one handling seafarers. So my first question, more of a statement. Is the family, I think Iris mentioned this, is the family of seafarers also placed in the equation when you recruit seafarers? Because as Iris mentioned, strong family ties are very predominant in seafaring among seafarers, Filipino seafarers. So what I'm trying to drive at is, is the maritime world not only focusing on recruitment of seafarers, but also taking care of the families? Because I think one experience that we had is because of the hostage crisis. I'm sure you're aware of the hostage crisis in Yemen, where 70 Filipinos are still being held hostage by the Yemenis. Our focus as government is not only to take care of the Filipino seafarers, but also their families.
Yeah.
And we are grateful for the ship owners and the ship representatives who are actively communicating with us and taking care of communication between the hostage seafarers and also their families. So if my question is this, are there policies from our panel in terms of having families involved both in the recruitment and also in welfare aspect of their maritime businesses?
Well, yeah, let me ask Iris, and then I'm going to also get Loukas as a ship owner to answer that as well. But Iris, over to you.
Yeah, for Döhle, we have focused strongly on family for the past 10 years. It's part of our program. We always have family get-togethers in different places of the country, just so we keep touch with them, because during the pre-departure orientation, it's normally the seafarer that is the audience, but never their wives, who are the main persons chasing us for allotment. It's not the seafarer. And also conversations about, we do provide health insurance, not just for the seafarer, but also for the families. And when they need to use, for example, their PhilHealth cards, when there's someone being hospitalized, we need to explain to them how the process is, and that has to be done with the people left behind, not the seafarer on board. It's very important, and also we hate to admit it, but the decision whether they will move to a company or another is usually a wife's decision as well. A very simple gesture we have in our office is that the waiting area will have to have a place for the family, just iced tea, maybe coffee, taking into consideration that it's not just the seafarer there, but the kids and the wives. Those are simple things that we have for them. Healthcare is important. We call it HMO. So that is already part of budget. That's an extension given by the ship owner, usually 2 dependents, given to each seafarer and plus 2 dependents outside of the statutory payments for healthcare.
Brilliant, thank you. And Loukas, just a final word from you regarding the importance of the seafarer family.
I think it's challenging at this stage, but I don't see why we shouldn't try towards this direction. At the end of the day, at least many people in the previous generation whose their family were mariners, they all traveled, I mean, for substantial time of their life with their, let's say, father. And this was also one solution for the long-lasting voyages at that point. So why not? I mean, but we need to provide the solutions. The vessel itself has specific standards of safety, so we need to address safety issues, and also, I mean, the existing vessels have specific number of people that they can accommodate. It's a little bit tricky, but it could be addressed. I don't say no.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Can I just ask all of you to put your hands together to thank the excellent panel, our first panel sessions here. Really, really good. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.